Oh, well, he said it being there.
Testing, testing. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to begin. Will you please place your cell phones on either off or silent? Thank you.
Yes, and it'll be up there in front of us, so, but I will let you know. Okay, you're live and the mic is hot, so. So here's how you'll be able to see everyone. Can you see like all the seats?
No. Hang on a second. Participants.
We're zooming in, Ms. Race.
No, all I see is me.
Okay, 1 second. Oh, that's because I have to turn the video on.
Duh, I did mine. I do this every Wednesday with my weaving group, so.
Well, hopefully we can be as entertaining as them.
Yes, over, under.
Yeah.
We picked up our son, or actually met our son last, in the wee hours of the morning and got him back to the campground at 3 o'clock.
Wow.
They are, I see you.
Okay.
Before y'all get started, if there's somebody's Ranger, Blue Ranger, little, cute little thing, new one, over there in front of the, Dickman Hall, and the blinkers on. And I don't know if that will wear the battery down or not.
Yeah.
Is it all of y'all's?
I can see.
It'll refocus. Yeah, it'll refocus. So
Yeah,
just,
I can't see Alan or Julie.
yeah, that's
That's
okay.
okay.
That's okay.
That's okay.
So yeah.
That's intentional.
So just so that everyone understands, so under the, like how we're organized under the statute, for a board member to be present at a meeting, they have to be able to see the reactions of the other board members while talking. So Chris Race has zoomed in from Maine. She's traveling with her family, so she can see all of our reactions, and that's what's required by the state statute. So just so that everyone understands. Every time you move, it refocuses the camera. So
We're gonna start up.
yes. Yeah. So also, we're a couple minutes late starting here, but I think it's beneficial to the process of the meeting to have this conversation before we start. When you come up or when you want to address the crowd or the board, just please come up to the mic. If you don't come up here, the people on the recording cannot hear you. So just in fairness to everyone, so that everyone can hear what's said and everyone's opinion, please come to the mic when you do that. So, all right. Kara, all good?
Yes.
Okay. Chris? Are you good? Okay. All right, it is 9:06 and we'll call the Fort Clark Springs Association Board of Directors regular meeting on October 15th to order. It is 9:06. So we have a quorum. We have Chris Race joining us via Zoom. The other 4 board members are here in the room. We'll start with a moment of silence. And followed by the pledges. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, there's a lot of you out there, so be ready. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. You almost practiced.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's some seats up front. Mr. and Ms. Grizz, there's seats up front of y'all. 3 empty seats up front.
Okay, so we have the meeting minutes from the September 17th meeting. Has everyone had time to review those? So do I have a motion on those minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes for the last meeting.
I second it.
All in favor? So we have been working with a finance committee, an ad hoc finance task force that's been working through all of our documents. So our QuickBooks it's getting better, but bear with us as we go through this. And so I will let Lisa go through her treasurer's report now.
No secretary today? No correspondence.
Yeah, there it is.
Go ahead.
All right, our occupancy rate, or our revenue, thank you. The revenue at the motel this month was this last month was $29,189. We're down from last month, but we haven't had DPS, but supposedly they're coming back, so they were gone for this last month. I've added the revenue for the RV park, which this last month was $10,300 approximately, which is up over last month also. Our total income for September, $175,558. Our total expenses were $182,200. So we're at a loss for September of $6,642. Year to date, our total income is $2,372,000, and our total expense is $2,370,000. Sorry about that. For a net income of $2,000. Now this is preliminary because, like you said, we are working through some QuickBooks and posting issues, not issues, but getting it straightened around. Preservation has $29,781 in their account. Our total balance, cash balance is $670,732. And that's it.
All right, so we'll now move into the GM report.
Okay, well, I'm going to start off with where a lot of people seem to have a lot of questions regarding the trees that we're working on in our proposal. And I've given a proposal to the board from a company out of Canton, Texas. And we've been given a real good price. The only way to maximize it is the fact that we can fill up a truck. And I talked to him last night. Their truck will carry about 150 trees. So at 30 gallons, 150 trees, and our cost, and we're looking about doing a initial cost around $20,000 to get these trees here, plus the planting and everything. The trees that we will be buying will be mostly live oak, some red oak, some chinquapin oak, and some bur oak. We were trying to get crepe myrtles, and their crepe myrtles had some damage, so he didn't recommend we get those. We've sort of got, if you've noticed on the R3, I have marked where we'll be putting most of them. We're going to be putting them at 60-foot intervals as far as the live oak, and they'll be 30 feet from the road. We will focus on the Red Bridge, R3, the Highway 90 frontage, the pool in the park, the RV park, and then hopefully we can work with the golf committee to put some trees out on the golf course also. I mean, that's going to be an additional, but the funds we're going to be looking for are going to be, to sponsor a tree will be right at $200. That will include the tree, that will include the planting, that will include stakes and a wire fence around them, as well as fertilizer and upkeep for about 5 years in planting. So hopefully we can get that going. I need to place the order Monday if possible, so we're going to look at trying to make sure. We already had 3,500 donated, and hopefully we can get some more soon, but we need to look at, go ahead and securing that so we can get these trees here now. The golf course right now is starting to green up a little bit. Our mowing procedures and specs, although they've been questioned, are now in place for our greens, fringe, fairways, and rough. I think you will see the change as far as once we abated most, and that is the one area in the fort we got most of the mesquite abated on the fairways, and you're seeing a real improvement there. So if anybody's watched the weather, we're supposed to have 2 to 3 inches of rain Monday, and probably good timing. Creekside patio is cleaned and open right now. Pro Shop now has shirts, visors, and caps for sale. And we're working on removing that debris pile. That's something that happened since the freeze. It's so much there, it's going to be very hard to remove it physically, so we're going to probably have to rent a chipper and try to do that. If we rent the chipper, then we also have mulch for the trees, so that helps us out there at the same time. I think probably one of the positive things is the recreation committee and the optimism of the volunteers that we've had. Just the areas they're looking at are the seniors, the youth, the adult, the fitness and health and wellness. I think everybody realizes that we have volunteers in all those areas to help us get the programs. So of all the optimistic areas of the fort, I think that's going to really bring some life to the fort. I think our first project is going to try to resurface the basketball court out there and just see if it's feasible to resurface these old courts. One other area that has been commented on, and that is I need suggestions for where we would like to add Fort Clark lighting on the roads at night. I've gone through Fort Clark roads. I've identified about 5 areas. If there are areas that you would like to see some additional lighting for basically walking and safety on Fort Clark Road, let me know. Road maintenance has always been an issue here. We took on the hardest place that we could yesterday or Thursday, and we ran out of asphalt, but the improvement is noticeable as far as Unit 14. Unit 14, I'm sure everybody knows, is probably the worst roads in the fort. And we borrowed a few pieces of equipment from Mud. We have that same piece of equipment ordered for ourselves since it did seem to work. And we worked on a scheme and a way of making an affordable fix to our roads. And it seemed to have worked. So we will continue that. We'll basically pick out different units every week and try to restore that throughout the winter. Landscaping, Rendezvous. Our focus in landscaping is going to be Rendezvous Park, 90 frontage, and the spring and pool for the next couple of weeks, because we are trying to present a picture for the people coming by on 90. If you drive by 90, you're sitting there and you'll get little glimpses of what the pool and the spring looks like, but you never get the full picture. By the time you get the full picture, you're already past Fort Clark. So we want to clear that whole area out, that from one area to the other, you have a real unabated vision of Fort Clark, and especially the spring and the pool. Just one area we did took a lot more time than I expected. There are a lot more trees than I thought. I know everybody knows that I have talked about not cutting oak trees. Well, now's the time we can start trimming oak trees. So for the next 4 months, we will be doing some pretty drastic pruning of some dead limbs in the pool and the spring area. This is the time you can do it. It's not going to do much damage to the oak trees. And so you will see a lot of big oak limbs cut to clear out some area and give a canopy and a vision that will really create a picture for Fort Clark. December and January, we're going to concentrate on Red Bridge. If anybody's been in Red Bridge, the drought and the trees that fell, it just really destroyed a lot of trees down there. And that's going to take a couple of months just to clean it up. We have to clean the trees out before we can even mow it because there's so much debris on the ground. So we sort of scheduled out exactly how we're going to do it. It's going to probably take at least through February to get everything cleaned up. But that will give us a kick into the February and March and April, so when things start growing again. I've handed the handout for the trees. The administrative task force, if we've talked about, Alvin Reagan, Jim Race, Lisa, and Linda have really helped us get organized with the accounting. Some areas that have really got some question marks cleared up. We're way ahead of where we were last year, so I think we're in good. They've really done a good job, and they've really helped the employees that we have doing it. So the information's really helped. Birding on the Border has been. We've been contacted by that group as far as April 28th and 30th. Brett Allen with Texas A&M, Maureen Frank, and Alicia Prince have all volunteered to do it. And I'm trying to get more volunteers to really make an impact on that this year. Been contacted about restocking the spring. Caitlin Navarro, who was our biologist, has contacted Sarah Robinson with Texas Parks and Wildlife, who's also contacted Ms. Nesbitt, which is San Antonio District Fisheries Management Biologist, and they are working on a plan to restock the spring and the creek with native fish. So, and as well as in the spring and summer, they'll be doing an audit of all of our flora and fauna on the spring Las Morris area. I think we're planning a creekside welcome to the Winter Texans on November the 12th. So stay tuned for that also. Everybody wants to know when the stumps are going. The stumps have not been removed because we could not get them out of the ground. They were a little bit harder than we thought. So we're going to have to cut them a little bit lower, and then we're going to have to get a stump grinder to get those out. If we could have gotten those out, we would have. But we will be cutting the rest of the dead trees down in the next, I'd say, month to get those cleaned up. Okay, that's it.
Any questions on the board?
And looking at this proposal, it's gonna It's gonna cost us approximately 24,000 to get all these trees?
No, it's gonna cost about 20,000. We're gonna offer the trees for $200 as a sponsorship for somebody to buy a tree. That gives us an extra 4,000 for labor and getting everything done. So technically, if we get the donations we want, it's not gonna cost us anything. You know, so it'll be a wash.
Yeah, and the difference between the price of the trees and the asking price is for 5 years of fertilizer, which was put together by the plan was put together by the arborist. That's the planting, water, fertilizer.
And it comes with 2 poles, the fence around it, as well as the mulch and the fertilizer that goes in it to ridge it out.
When, as far as these funds, you know, trying to get them together and when we purchase, what kind of deadline do we have?
We need to purchase these Monday. I need to give him a complete order.
So that we've got it later in the agenda item to discuss, like how do we finance that. So I think Mr. Peterson mentioned that there's 3,500 that has already been donated, and so we'll start the campaign. But as he mentioned, we're kind of on a short timeline to get these trees ordered.
We have basically October and November to plant these trees. The price we're getting right now, and it's, you know, it's good for next week, but this is the tree time, this is tree planting time right now. So now's the time to do it.
So today we potentially we need to approve about 18,000.
We need to approve the money to purchase the trees, and then we'll go ahead and start selling them from there.
When will they come? You buy
As
them
soon as I give the order, then
If you
he'll
buy them
let me
Monday,
know.
they'd be your,
I don't think we want them here earlier than 2 weeks from now.
okay, so you got November to put it.
Yeah, that's what I'm planning.
Irrigation?
We're gonna have to be using our 500-gallon tank weekly to give the 5 gallons that are necessary until we can reestablish all the irrigation. Some of them have it, some of them don't.
So the total amount, so if you take five gallons over a 5-year period, it's 169,000 gallons that you would need to irrigate those trees. So it's 5 gallons per week, which is recommended for this age of tree. And so 5 gallons at this amount of trees over a 5-year period is 169,000 gallons, which is approximately 2% of, or 20% of what you put in the pool. So it would be less than $660 to irrigate that if we had to. But we can also, we have surface water rights. So with our irrigation tank, we can pull water to irrigate those trees.
Now, these trees are 8 to 10 feet tall. They're 30 gallons. And my reasoning on the 30 gallons and the size we're getting is if anybody works, and the arborists confirm this, when you get a large tree, you can plant that large tree, but that it will not start growing until that root ball spreads out to the tree line of that tree. Therefore, the smaller ones, the 30 gallons, are probably the most efficient for starting growth. You'll look at a 30 gallon versus a 100 or a 200 gallon. 10 years from now, they'll both look the exact same, because that 30 gallon will get started on the growing faster than the big one will. And with our lack of water, we need them to start correctly so that we have enough water to be able to keep them going. The big tree, I don't know if we can keep them through a summer here.
What percentage of, because there's going to be loss, what percentage of loss do you, are we, I mean, I know we're hoping for none, but I'm sure
I
they
can
tell
tell you
you.
the percentage of the kill factor for a mesquite, but I can't tell you the percentage of the die factor for the tree. The one thing I couldn't find were pecan trees, and we're missing about 2 pecan trees in front. So we'll have to purchase those from a different area. But that's everything else. These are all oak trees, bur oak, red oak. Red oak and the bur oak will go mostly out at the RV park. Live oak will go mostly here.
All right, one last question
Mhm.
for me, that's it. What kind of impact for maintenance does that have with you having to do it weekly? Is that going to be a strain, or?
We're looking at, basically 5 gallons. I mean, our 500-gallon tank will do 100 trees. I would imagine you're looking at one person one day. It's, if you get rain, we're even better than that. So that's even a volunteer possibility there.
There you go. So we didn't talk about the planting part. So in the past, we've had an organization here in Kenny County say that they would possibly have the availability to
Drill the holes.
drill the holes.
Either that, or we're gonna have to rent or purchase a post hole digger, which we need anyway, which usually runs around $3,500 for our Bobcat. Or we can get donations or people that can do that. What we'll have to do is locate them, come out and locate the utilities, and go from there.
Eddie Earwood has a also there.
So anyone at Rio Grande, when we call about drilling holes, that'll be appreciated. So.
I would really, he told me he can actually get 150 trees on this truck, so if we get sponsorship, it would be great. I only priced 130, I think.
All right, any other questions? Questions from the membership? Nope, okay. Committee reports, airports. So today, Julie's going to be reading these since Chris is joining us via Zoom. The speaker's not gonna be loud enough for y'all to hear her, so we're gonna transition over here to Julie to read those.
The airport was mowed 4 times, $250 in personal funds were spent on maintenance to the Fort mower to replace the battery and belt. Coordination was made with management last month to have the overgrown area mowed by maintenance. We are still waiting for the overgrown area to be mowed. 3 guests flew in, all member guests. Stan Martin, chairman.
Architectural?
Hello. I don't think it's on.
Oh, that's the one that y'all were plugging in.
Yeah. Hello, Phoebe Bordelon. First, Frances Bitter is now the chairperson, and I'm rotating down the line. We were off 2 weeks this last month because we didn't have any permit applications, and we lost another member. So we are back down to 4.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for your time as chairman.
Also, we did not, because we did not meet for 2 of the weeks, we did not, as a group, have a chance to look at the resolutions that y'all have put forward.
Okay, and we'll cover that, but yes, we'll get with that. Yes, we'll cover that. Thank you. And thank you for your time as chairman of the architectural committee. I'm sure most of you know that that is not an easy task, so thank you. Golf committee.
I have that one. Okay, the golf committee has loaded to report this month the September end of month scramble. September end of month scramble had 15 players. The October end of the month scramble will be held on October 29th and combined with the 8th annual Kenny County Church Alliance tournament. Although this is a fundraiser supporting needy seniors and families in Kenny County, payout for end of month winners will be as per usual. We hope to have lots of support for this fun Halloween event. Format is 4-person teams in a blind draw or bring your own team. Respectfully submitted, Katie Brown.
Okay. Preservation.
Good morning. Well, our preservation committee meeting was on 10/12/22. After much discussion on the different repair options mentioned in our previous meeting, the president reported back to the committee on the feasibility of each of these options. As we anticipated, the post-theater marquee will be the most extensive repair job this committee has encountered on one of our historical buildings. By a majority vote, this committee voted to do a complete rebuild of the marquee due to safety and liability concerns. Some delay will occur due to our contractor suffering an unexpected health emergency. He is doing well and should be back in action within a couple of weeks. In the interim, the president will be preparing the paperwork and submitting it for this repair work. So respectfully submitted to HN bidder. Any questions?
Mr. Guzman, you have a question? No? Oh, thank you. All right. Recycle. Oh, there you go. Whoa. Hold on now.
Thanks.
There you go.
Well, the recycle center will be closed Thanksgiving, which happens on a Thursday, but we will be open that following Saturday. Excuse my voice, I'm kind of, I guess I have a virus or something.
You have the recycling button?
Yeah, that's it, yeah. I was gonna tell everybody, the Rio Grande Electric had their annual meeting last week. And we had a fabulous 2-minute videotape of Fort Clark Recycle Center. And we were doing work, we had 2 or 3 people come in. Joe was moving boxes, so it's really cool. And I'm hoping that that they'll give us a copy of that section. And I think that's it.
Great, thank you.
And the Les Morris Restoration Committee has nothing more to report. I think Alan talked about several things, so there's nothing there
Okay.
in
Well,
addition.
yeah, absolutely. If you could get that video, we'd be happy to put it on both our YouTube channel and the website.
Oh, yeah,
as soon
it's
as-
great. It's really
Good, good.
It's fun. So.
Thank you. Okay, recreation.
Recreation Committee has been reorganized and will be taking over some of the recreation activities. The committee voted on chairperson, and the lucky one was Anna Martinez. Anna has a great deal of background in cleaning, starting the Hope Center, as well as being a certified tour manager. So get ready for those day trips. The committee will also be divided into 4 groups and are going to be looking for chairs to fill. Health and wellness, such as hiking, weight loss, healthy eating, tennis courts, pickleball, disc golf, and classes like yoga, Pilates, aerobics, line dancing, Zumba, strength training, etc. Senior activities such as dances, cooking, crafts, bus tours, and holiday shared dining. Youth, which is our teens, activities such as dances, lock-ins, photography, videographer, music lessons, woodworking, carpentry, pool parties, cooking classes, youth and senior activities. Meaning have the youth work with our seniors, doing activities with them. Young families and children, or families with young children, such as holiday activities, mom's teas, children play dates, arts and crafts. The next event the committee is working on is a Halloween kids party on Sunday, October 30th. Times will be announced through dispatch and flyers this week. The plan is to have games, snack stations, decorations, bake sale, etc. More will be announced next week. The money from the bake sale will be going towards the repairing of the basketball court, and then hopefully the tennis courts will be next. If you would like to donate baked goods for the sale, please let us know. We are very excited about the new recreation committee. The committee is all ready to go to help put some fun back into Fort Clark. If you have any ideas or would like to host a class or activity, please send your name, idea, and or activity and contact information to recreation@fortclark.com or the FCSA@fortclark.com. We are looking for ideas of all ages. This includes the clubs of Fort Clark. We would like to see if the clubs would participate in holding some events, maybe 1 or 2 a year each, to work with the kids. If you would like to come and see what's happening, we encourage you to come to our next meeting on Wednesday, October 19th, 5 o'clock p.m. in the boardroom. Thank you, Recreation Committee.
Thank you. And just as an aside to your cooking classes, UMC has a nutritionist that spoke with Mr. Peterson. Well, the CEO spoke with Mr. Peterson about offering their services. So UMC will actually send down their chef nutritionist to do those cooking classes at no cost to us. So.
Oh,
Okay. Election committee. I think, yep, there you go. We haven't got there yet.
I'm not fine.
Okay, the election committee met on Monday the 10th, and we developed a timeline for this year's election. One position is open. Doesn't mean only one person should run. We should have lots of people to run. We did come up with the election cycle dates, a couple of upcoming dates to let you know in advance. October 28th, the candidate data sheets and the instructions will be available in the administration building, the adult center, the teen center, and the golf course. And you can pick one up as of the 28th. All candidate data sheets and resumes for board of director are due by 5 p.m. in the administration office front desk. No exceptions on January 2nd. The ballots will be mailed on February 10th. They'll be due in the auditor's office by March 10th by 5 o'clock. The regular board meeting that month will be March 18th, and at that time we will ask to disband the committee. And then March 25th this year is the annual membership meeting when the election results will be announced. I have a copy of all this for the board, and attached to it are the recommendations made last year after this. So the only immediate change is that we've asked to print the ballots in color on colored paper, such as light yellow or pink or whatever, so that we know that there's a ballot in the envelope. So. Okay, our next meeting is in December. We are still looking for one person according to our governing documents. It should be 5 people. Bill Norman has volunteered. If the board will approve him, we can do that by email, perhaps?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
If you'll send that recommendation in, then we will do that, and then we'll put that in the email correspondence for the next meeting.
Right, I will do that.
Thank
He
you.
has graciously volunteered since nobody else would. So, and then Julie will periodically put notices in the dispatch to remind people when the candidate data sheets are available, when they're due during the entire election cycle. Are there any questions?
Miss Sandy, can you announce the persons that are on the board right now?
Sure. It's, let's see, myself, and Barbara McFadden, Francis Bitter, Constance Kilgore, and now, hopefully, Bill Herman. And our board secretary by bylaw is the election monitor. And her particular position is most important during that period of time when we are folding and counting envelopes in preparation and then the day that we stuff. And she's there to monitor the entire election and keep her advised of everything that's going on. Okay?
Right, and the other role of Chris, the board secretary, is if there's an issue with the ballot, all of those, and Mr. Guzman filled that role last year, so I think we only had two issues. So if there's an issue with the ballot that you receive or you don't receive a ballot, that correspondence goes to the board secretary or the person appointed to oversee the elections from the board, and then they work with the committee to get that ballot back out to the person.
Actually, the board secretary is responsible for getting those ballots out.
Okay.
Okay, and it's, in case you want to look, it's in the bylaws on page 7, annual election, E10. And it describes once the ballots are mailed, taken to the post office, the election committee no longer has any responsibilities.
Okay.
It falls to the board secretary and the monitor at that time to track any requests for new ballots. And we did. Last year, the problem we had is that one ballot was sent to an address where the member had forgotten to let us know that they now wanted their mail sent here instead of some other state. And then the other one was they had just recently purchased property and had not notified us, and they didn't get enough ballots. Okay, so it's really important between now and when the ballots go out, especially January 25th is the 60-day requirement by the state. And that's the day that we print the membership lists. So before January 25th, if you have any address changes, property changes, anything to do with your voting status, you need to make sure that you let administrative office know about those changes so you get the correct number of ballots and that you get ballots at all. Okay?
And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the staff of the fort, because last year, and Sandy can talk about this because she was on the committee last year as well, but last year we only received 19 ballots back, meaning that ballots were sent out and they were not at the proper address, and then they came back. I can tell you the year prior to that, I received 30 ballots back when I sent letters to all the membership in the first day. So the fact that you went the entire election cycle and only had 19 ballots is a true testament to what the work that was done here at the fort and through the election committee to make sure that everything was done. So thank you for that. That ensures that we have a viable election where as many people as possible can participate. So it's really important.
Right.
So thank
A lot
you.
of times people don't remember to notify us of changes like that, so just make sure that your information is accurate by January 25th. Okay? Any other questions?
One more question. I believe there was a change in the state statute around announcing the results, that we cannot do it at an annual meeting at this point.
Okay, I have not received those. I got changes from Julie, but
Okay.
that wasn't part of those changes.
Okay, I'll have to research that, but I think the fix is that we just have a regular meeting
Okay,
prior to the annual meeting, but that the results cannot be released at the annual meeting, they have to be at a regular meeting. But we'll do the research and then we'll report back to you.
well, they can be released at both once it's,
Right, once it's been released at a regular meeting, then you can talk about it at
Right.
the annual meeting, but it can't be the annual meeting as the result, like the first time that they were revealed.
yeah, please send me a copy
Okay.
of that because I made new binders this year and we're going to keep using these binders and simply add each election cycle to the binder. So, and the first item in there are our bylaws covering elections, so I will need to add that to make sure, because no, that wasn't in the list of ones that I did receive.
Okay, I'll
Right.
take that on.
And that should still be okay because the ballots are due March 10th in the auditor's office and the meeting isn't until the 18th.
Okay,
Okay,
we'll work through that.
you're right.
And Sandy, for clarification to the membership, there's only one spot open.
There's one spot open and now this spot will be for the full 3 years instead of the 2. And the 2 was simply to put us on track so that we did not have to elect an entire quorum in one election. And because that has gotten, for decades, has been a problem. So this way, we will have an election every year, but it'll be 2, 2, and 1, 2, 2, and 1. So it prevents us from having to go through that again. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Nope.
Okay.
And thank you to the
I
election
have,
committee.
let me give you 2 seconds and let me pass these out to you. So don't go off and forget. Every year it gets harder to remember.
Ain't that the truth?
Will anybody, I'm just gonna walk it down.
I'm not pushing them down.
Needs one more?
One more.
Or is it that one?
I got it, got my ones. Yeah, they're gonna be shorter.
I need that.
Okay, is anybody going to be seeing Chris.
Yes, we'll get her a digital copy, and then but I'll take hers as well. Thank you.
Did you
That
get
was a
one?
good swap.
And for those on the election committee, you want to see me after the meeting, I've got the ones for your binders. And Julie, this is the announcement to go out on the 28th.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
Okay, community council.
Well, obviously, I'm standing in for Barbara. This is for the community council meeting of October 8th with 23 members present. We earmarked $2,000 to fix the water leak in the upstairs ladies' bathroom in the adult center. Due to asbestos, we can't fix it. We did not decide what to do with this money at this time. Perhaps fix the dressing rooms at the amphitheater for use during Fort Clark days. Ghostly tours will be done by the Recreation Committee. There will not be a pumpkin patch sold this year. Fort Clark Days 2023, Francis and Christina Bitter will co-chair the event. Any questions?
What date is Fort Clark Days in '23?
3rd and 4th, yeah. Go ahead. Any other questions?
No, but I think we do need to address a situation that came about at the last community council meeting. We have several notes here from the community council meeting stating the concern around the proposal that was put together. So prior to the last meeting, the regular board meeting of the Fort Clark, which was on the September 17th, we were approached, the board and the staff here at the office was approached by community council stating that they were not going to be able to do ghostly tours and possibly not the pumpkin patch, and that there was not yet a chair for Fort Clark Days. Excuse me?
Pumpkin patch has never been community council,
Right.
that's
No,
all.
that's
It's always been the board.
Okay, well, okay, so well, it was in the report here, so that was, okay. So prior to the last meeting, we were told that there was not yet a chair for Fort Clark Days, and that ghostly tours, there was a possibility that there would need to be a new group handling that. So in the time between that correspondence and the board meeting, the bidders decided to take on the co-chair position to run Fort Clark Days. During executive session at that meeting, the community council board president was in our executive session, and we asked if it would be necessary to consult with a marketing or a planning group to get a proposal as to help with running Fort Clark Days. So that we were given the go-ahead by the community council president to at least get a proposal. So let's move forward to the week of the community council meeting discussing the committees for Fort Clark Days. On that Monday, I contacted the chair or the president of community council and said, have you let your co-chairs know that we have gone ahead and asked for a proposal to help coordinate Fort Clark Days? She said, no, I have not let them know. And I said, well, would you mind if I just told them, that way we can quickly get this information to them. They are stakeholders. The board and those two individuals should be involved as well. So yes, go ahead, have that meeting. So that Tuesday, I met with both of the co-chairs and let them know that there was a proposal out there, nothing binding. We hadn't, said we're going to do this. It's just a proposal that will be presented, and it would be something that everyone would be able to weigh in on. So during that meeting, the proposal actually came in to my email. So I went to the office and had it printed out, gave that proposal to the co-chairs and said, please, look this over, make notes, send me questions. I'll send it to the rest of the board. We'll get our questions together, and then we'll go to Conference Direct, who is the person who put the proposal out. When those questions came in from the co-chairs, and then the subsequent questions from the board had decided to schedule a Zoom to talk to Conference Direct to understand what the proposal was actually about and how it was going to transpire. In that communication with the co-chairs, I assured them that we had the same questions that they had. What is this? What is that? Why are we doing this? We have people that do this part already. So we understood that there were several questions. It was my advice that we would only talk about the proposal at a conceptual level, not at a detailed level, because as I stated, we did not fully understand the proposal. On Saturday, that was then given to the membership as something that we were doing top to bottom, $20,000 out of the budget that everyone pays for. That was not the case. We never had the opportunity to talk to them. That was an a la carte menu, not something that you sum total to the bottom and said, okay, this is what we're going to spend. So I hope that everyone understands that we are more fiscally conservative than just throwing away $20,000 of your money without consulting the stakeholders, which would be community council, the board, and the membership. So I think we were a little forward in presenting that to the membership, and I hope that we can all move forward with the understanding that our job is to be fiscally responsible with your dollars. So,
Is that it?
that's it. Any questions or comments about that?
So where do things stand? So where do things stand now on that proposal? Because my understanding is that if the board is gonna go forward with something like this, that there's a time crunch on deciding to approve it. So where do things stand at the moment?
Well, I think that the message was pretty clear from the membership and from community council that y'all don't need the help, and we fully understand that. We're going to move forward with the review of the MSA. So the master service agreement covers many events, not just Fort Clark Days. So we'll continue with the review of that, and we'll press forward. I mean, we took your advice, and that's fine.
So no involvement from this gal with Fort Clark Days?
So no, there will not be any involvement from Conference Direct, but there will still be, the board and the fort will still be involved in the sense of there's over 200 hours put in by maintenance. There will be hotel rooms donated by the membership to Fort Clark Days, but no, there won't be any involvement from Conference Direct at this time. We don't foresee that being a thing.
200 hours from maintenance?
Yes, ma'am.
They got all those tables and
Yeah,
chairs.
it doesn't
and-
have it by itself.
No, but tables and chairs, I helped move tables, I know some of that stuff, but that's 200 hours. Mom could probably address that more effectively than I could. I think 200 hours is probably a little aggressive on the estimate there. And we've had years where they would do very little as well, and so it came from volunteers.
It wasn't last year, and there was a lot of trash. We had multiple people on staff both Saturday and Friday that were dedicated to just moving trash and making sure that all of those receptacles were empty so that people could put them on the fort.
Bob, how many bags of trash did you go through and clear and pick up out of those trash bins?
Maybe twice,
Okay.
whatever the trash bins were.
Yeah, I know I grabbed trash.
Well, everyone
as
did.
well,
I mean,
and
it doesn't take just
up.
maintenance, but there are over 200 hours put in by the fort staff to do that.
Okay, and the board is still committed then to providing that stuff to community council?
Absolutely. And
Before
last year,
Fridays?
just
Okay.
last year we upped what we gave you, and we're happy to do it again.
Okay. Good deal. I think that's for these guys. I was the chair this last year for Fort Clark Days, so all right, good deal. That's all I've got. If that's DOA, then cool. Thanks.
Excuse me, come to the mic, please identify yourselves, I can't see you.
When you
Okay,
come to
yeah,
the mic,
that's-
please identify yourself. Can I have a little?
Yes, please.
What's left on, the contracts I saw reflected 2023 Fort Clark days, the eclipse and Fort Clark days 2024.
There was never a deal for 2024. There was.
So it just this Fort Clark days and eclipse, correct?
We had 5 proposals from Conference Direct. So there was an MSA, which is the Master Service Agreement that covers any event that's done with Conference Direct and the Fort. There was an SOW for Fort Clark days. There was an SOW for Phase 1 of the eclipse, SOW for Phase 2 of the eclipse, and SOW for Phase 3 of the eclipse. Those are the 5 proposals that we have in front of us from Conference Direct.
Okay, stand corrected, thank you.
Any questions from the membership? I mean, look, we got to get this out here. We're a community, and I know that a lot of you are here to hear about that and address that. So please speak now. Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm Charles Fields.
Mike Chuck.
I'm not sure my knees will allow me to stand up this long, but I'm gonna do it. Okay,
We can pull the mic over there.
That's okay, this'll do fine. Okay, we're not going to interfere with Fort Clark days in any way.
No, sir.
That's said, because that's community council, that's what happens. Yeah, now, moving forward to the eclipse problem, and that is a major problem. And I don't think we need to look at actually hiring someone to do that immediately, but I think you are probably on the right track in trying to find give a test to someone to see if their organization is capable of doing something of that magnitude. So why don't we consider opening another festival of some type in the spring and allow them to give a trial run just to see how they progress with that before we sign any contracts with any group for the eclipse.
I think that that's a great path forward, and just in the other conversations around Fort Clark days and the SOW that was proposed, the board did decide to have another meeting with Conference Direct to further understand their proposal, and also to schedule a membership meeting to present all of those documents and talk about what it's going to do. And so you will see a schedule for that coming shortly. So there's going to be a whole roundtable discussion around the eclipse and how we're going to do that. But it's a much larger conversation than we can have on a Saturday morning. I anticipate there being several meetings to even tackle that sort of deal. Just for kind of orders of magnitude, there was a meeting in Del Rio with the Chamber of Commerce, which I attended as a small business owner that operates in Del Rio, and the eclipse came up. There was a lady there from Kentucky who was in the 2017 eclipse, and her town was about 31,000, the approximate size of Del Rio. About 30 miles away, she was in a town of 600, is where she actually lived. And that very much mirrors our footprint from Del Rio to Brackettville. They received 78,000 people in the town that was 26 or 30 miles away. In her town of 600, they had 5,000 people. There are orders of magnitude of degrees of what people are willing to accept for the eclipse. I spoke with some of the county commissioners from Real County earlier this week, and their business owners are like, we're going to order what we're going to order, and when we run out of food, we're done, and that's what we're going to do. That's very scary. Hungry people without fuel and stuck in your town sounds like a really bad idea to me. But that's, I tried to sit with their county commissioners and their judge, and I was like, you might want to rethink that or think about calling the National Guard, because it's not going to be fun if you have 5,000 people that are super hungry with no gas and no food. So to your point, there's going to be a lot of discussion.
There are things that we really need to start doing right now, like clearing brush for tent camping, and arranging for porta potties, which is something most people don't consider. But if we're gonna have tent camping, we have to have them.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna have to like reach to San Antonio or maybe even
Oh,
Houston to bring some in.
We're